Hi, welcome to WakeTV. I'm your host, Darvik Badalyan Wake. We have a lot going on, so stay tuned. We are here at Wake Water and Soil Conservation District to speak about Keeping the Farm workshop. It was held on March 23rd, and Teresa Fur, the director, will tell us about the workshop.
The annual Keeping the Farm workshop is a workshop that we do, a free workshop that we do for our farm and forest landowners in Wake County. We provide them with a network of different resource professionals to help them manage their farm and forest land for generations to come. We cover topics, tax updates, estate planning, conservation practices, all different kinds of different topics every year that helps them with their management and long-term goals for their farm and forest land.
And what's the purpose of the workshop?
The purpose is, in Wake County, we still got over 96,000 acres of farm and forest land that's still in active production. And Wake County is the fastest growing, county in the state. The development pressures are great here. And so there's a lot of information they need to help make sure that they continue with the success they need for their farm and forest land. And so access to this information is very vital because some bad decisions could be detrimental for them to keep that farm and forest land for their generations to come. So we have uploaded all of the segments for each segment that we had for our Keeping the Farm workshop on our website, and you can go to www.wakegov.com/keepingthefarm, and you'll see all of those videos on there for whatever topic they would like to listen to at a later date, and they will be on there, and we have several other years on there as well. So.
Teresa, how many years we have been doing the Keeping the Farm workshop?
This year we have done it 17 years. So we've been doing this 17 years, and every year we still get requests from folks that still need that information. And so it's very vital for them to have this information. We've had a lot of farm and forest landowners in Wake County make bad decisions with estate planning or other deeds and things like that has cost them thousands of dollars and in jeopardy, put the farm in jeopardy of losing that. So it's every year we try to do a great job of giving them updates on the important information that they need to make sure they make the right decisions. And so if they don't know what those decisions are, we have those resource professionals here that they can ask and get those questions answered to make sure, because once it's recorded, once something's done, it can't be undone. And so we need to make sure that they have the education materials, the resources they need to make those educated decisions for their farm and forest land.
So you collect feedback from the farmers to make sure that the program is updated? We do.
We send out a survey to the farm and everybody that participates to let them know what do they like, what do they don't like, and then what other topics they would like to see from us in the future. And we get those surveys and we tally those surveys, and that way we make sure we get them the information they need each year.
And what kind of feedback are you receiving from farmers?
Just this week I had a couple already tell me that they absolutely love the workshop. They learn something every single year that they didn't know, and so they're very appreciative of having this free resource for them and this guidance to help them with their family and their kids and future generations.
Thank you, Teresa. Looking forward.
Thank you.
Get the timely and accurate information you need to stay safe if there's an emergency in your area. Sign up for Ready Wake alerts, and Wake County will send you important notifications by text, phone, or email, whichever way you choose. Whether it's severe weather, a missing person report, or a neighborhood evacuation, stay in the know with Ready Wake alerts. Learn more and sign up at readywake.com.
It is important for our community to get the vaccine because there is still a risk. And if we get the vaccine, we lower that risk. And we have the ability for our community to get back together again, to get back to our social activities, to get back to connecting. It is so important that we do that for all of our community, not just ourselves, but for others.
Welcome to Wake TV. I'm Stacy Beard with Wake County Communications, and in this edition, we're going to talk about one of the most important of American rights and one of the most crucial parts of democracy. It's voting. And yes, it is about to be that time again where nearly 800,000 Wake County registered voters head to the polls to have their voices heard and to choose their leaders. And joining me now are two people who helped to make that happen. Gary Sims, you're the director of the Wake County Board of Elections, and Olivia McCall, you are the deputy director. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So I first met you guys as I first joined Wake County. It was the eve of the 2020 election. Tiny, insignificant election, right? And I walked into this warehouse and there were so many people. There were foreign and local and national journalists. There was this army of bipartisan teams with observers walking around looking at them. There were these whizzing machines in the background. Your bipartisan board. And there was the two of you, the sort of orchestrators of this whole complicated thing. And I was in awe, obviously with that. But I also had to think to myself, why do these people want to do this job? And so I just thought we might start off with, what keeps you going? Maybe what got you into elections, but what keeps you going in such a seamlessly tiring and scrutinized job, right?
Well, I'm surprised you're still with us, considering we were the first assignment you had in the largest elections we've ever had in North Carolina. On top of that, Wake County being the largest county, North Carolina was the very first state to mail out absentee ballots by mail in 2020. So we had all that attention that was focused on us. But why do I do it? It's passion for what we do. It's the people we work with, and I get to work in my opinion, the greatest county in the state. Wake is an incredible place to work. The voters here, the staff we work with, the officials. It's an honor to do what I do. It may be long days, long hours, but it truly is an honor.
Yeah. Well, the passion comes through. Same for you, Olivia. I mean, I don't think you saw your children, right, for a long stretch of time during the
a very
elections.
supportive family.
Well, that's awesome. Gary, you do have an incredible team as you spoke to. Can you tell us a little bit about, though, how many people do you have behind the scenes? Because I don't think people appreciate, number one, how many are on the Wake County team, but how many volunteers you bring in.
Yeah, it is. So we have, including myself, there's 36 Wake County employees that work, but we bring in seasonal employees, which we could double our staff. As you saw back then in a very large election, we had up to 100 people day-to-day working with us. And those were just day-to-day processes. And then the other part, which is my favorite part, is our election officials that are out there in the community. We have any given large election, we could have up to 2,400 plus officials assigned to work the various precincts, and up to 1,200 early voting officials working. So the numbers of people, and one of the things that a lot of people don't know that's really amazing, is these people, they're your neighbors. They were your maybe a retired school teacher, and they could be. We have people here, and I've recently even found out that there's Wake County employees. They have family members that are also elections officials. We have people that are community involved in their community. We have people that work in grocery stores, and maybe they are home taking care of their children, but they take the time because of their commitment to making sure that our republic continues on, that we are here making democracy happen. And whenever you work with such a large amount of people with the same passion as you do, that you have, it makes coming to work every day worth it. And that's what I value most about what I do. Hands down, it's the people I get to work with.
Yeah. And like you said, they're our neighbors. They're the people who live in the community with us.
And I'm going to try to recruit you at some point to be an elections official. So yes.
The passion, it's contagious. It is. I really feel it when I go in there. So Olivia, we're not in a presidential election like we were in 2020, but what's going on? People might assume you guys just go quiet, right? And sit and twiddle your thumbs, but it's busy for you guys, even now.
Yes. So we are actually in full swing. So we have already started our training for the upcoming May 17th primary. We've already started that. We're in the middle of logic and accuracy testing. We actually are packing supplies, auditing supplies, getting ready for the May election. So we're in full swing. Some of our teams are already working 7 days a week as of now.
Wow.
So we are preparing everything to get ready for this upcoming election. So with that coming up, we are, busy getting prepared and really in full swing. We're ready to go.
Yeah, it's not just election day that you guys suddenly pop out. It's all that
Months
leads
and
up.
months prior to, and getting prepared and getting staff ready to go.
And all those dozens of volunteers.
Yes, it's not just the time prior to, it's also after the election. So it just doesn't end for us on election day.
I went home that election night thinking, okay, we're done. And we were back the next day. Well, you mentioned May 17th, but Gary, you said just yesterday you ran into somebody that said, wait, there's what election? So it's a primary. Can you help explain to people what a primary is?
This is, if I can get the word out to everybody about how a primary works, first of all, it is, more people vote in general elections. Not as many people vote in primaries, but a lot of people do vote in primaries. So the primary is a little bit different. So when we had candidate filing, remember primaries really are for the party to narrow down to a single choice that will move to November.
Right.
So anytime you have a contest that may be a vote for one, and you have more than one person for that party, that particular party, to file for office, then it will go to those 2, 3, or however many will have a primary. That is to narrow it down to the one candidate that will be on the November ballot. So that means that there's a lot of contests where there is no primary. So those candidates are automatically going to move to November. So even if you heard of somebody that may be running for office, they may not have a primary, but there are many offices. So in other words, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party both have a primary this year. So I want to make that very clear. The next part is the Libertarian Party. While they are not the largest of the parties, they had no more than one candidate file for any given seat. So there are no Libertarian primaries.
Gotcha.
But we have a kicker. Okay, so Cary, town of Cary, after the census was delayed, the town of Cary, which has nonpartisan contests, their elections are held at the same time as the primary. This is only for the town of Cary voters. So the thing is for them, their nonpartisan elections held at the same time as a partisan primary.
Right.
So that's very important. So town of Cary, no matter if you're registered with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, you're going to have those nonpartisan contests. And there's another kicker. Okay. All right. So if you're unaffiliated, and this is one that people are not always familiar with, North Carolina has open primaries. That means that if you're unaffiliated, you can choose a Democratic Party or a Republican Party ballot. Right. Only one,
you have to choose.
But you have to choose. It does not change your party affiliation. Wake County, our highest voter population is actually unaffiliated.
Is unaffiliated.
It is. So that means that the majority of our voters are going to get to choose a Democratic Party or Republican Party ballot. Another thing again, the Libertarian, okay, remember I said they don't have a primary.
Yes.
But if you're Libertarian and you live in the town of Cary, we will still have a ballot for you because that's a nonpartisan.
They're not, correct. That's council people, they don't run with a party.
That is correct.
Yes.
You want me to tell you another one?
I knew you had another one.
Okay, so there's, did you know that if you are 17 years old, but you're going to be 18 on or before November 8th this year,
okay,
you're eligible to register and to vote in a primary.
Okay.
So, because you're going to be eligible to vote at the time of the general, so you get to participate in the primary process. With an exception, the town of Cary is having their nonpartisan election. So 17-year-olds cannot participate in the election because they're not going to be 18. So, I think I just took away pretty much everybody's excuse not to go out and vote. Exactly. So, but understanding that process is so critical, and these key points are so critical, because primaries, honestly, they do confuse people and they don't always understand. They'll want to go and vote for who they think is going to be on the ballot, but really that person is going to be on the November ballot. So educate yourself. That's the biggest thing I hope everybody takes away, is learn about what you need to do.
Yeah, because you don't want them to be discouraged and then decide, forget it.
Exactly.
I'm not going to make a decision. And Olivia, there is a way, the easiest way, right? Who am I voting for this year? If you have that question, what can you do?
So the easiest thing I would like to say is go to our website, Ready to Vote, and that's readytovote.com. And you can actually find all of that information by looking up your voter information, checking to see what you're eligible to vote in. It has your jurisdictions, it has sample ballots available, so that way you can see who you need to research and who would be on your sample ballot, so you can be prepared for the primary.
Right. You actually see the ballot, and you see who the candidates are that are running.
Yep. And you can print that off, research your candidates, and then that way you're informed and you're ready to go in to vote when the time comes. So we really encourage people to check out readytovote.com.
That's great. That's wonderful. Now, are you going to have early voting? And then are you going to have this cool thing that I remember you had, which was you could go and check and see if there was a wait time at the polling place? Because when early voting, right, you can go wherever. You don't have to go in your precinct, right?
That is correct. So if people remember back in 2020, we had long lines at some places and we had 0 wait times in others. And we really were in the middle of a pandemic, and we said, how do we get people to spread out and go? Some of our staff members developed a simple little program. It was so simple. It was we couldn't believe how easy it was.
Well, it was awesome, though.
But people could actually see how long it was taking at any given site to go, and how long early voting the lines were lasting. So you may be able to look at that and say, well, if it's 45 minutes here, but it's 5 minutes here, it's worth a 5-minute drive away to another location. So that tool is still going to be available. You're going to be able to find it, WakeVotesEarly.com.
Right.
You could also go to readytovote.com and get to our early voting sites. We've worked with Wake County GIS department also. They even have a new tool that's added on top of that, where you can just type in your address and it will show you the closest early voting site to you. So, that's the way things should work. We should be doing everything we can do to try to make it easy to understand where to go and how to go vote. Because if you're going to vote early voting, as long as you're a Wake County resident, you can go to any early voting site, which is much different than election day, where you need to go to your home precinct, your home polling place. Early voting is different. We've got your ballot no matter which early voting site you go to in Wake County. You can only vote once, but when you do go vote, we got a ballot for you.
That's awesome. Well, that's great.
Yep.
Two new tools. That's wonderful.
Yep.
Now, do we think, during the pandemic, there was a fear for a lot of people to vote in person.
Right.
Do we think that people are going to come out to vote in person this coming May?
So in 2020, we saw an influx in the absentee by mail request. What we're hearing is people want to get back in person.
Yeah.
They want to get back in person and vote. Of course, we'll still have our absentee voters, but a lot of people that chose to use that method going into this year, the pandemic has changed. People are ready to get back in person and vote, and we have those options. Absentee was just one of 3 methods. So you've got your election day method, and you also have your early voting method. So we're hearing that people want to get back and vote in person. So I think that we'll see that this upcoming election.
That's great.
And we'll be ready for them.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. You're training. Well, I have to ask this because, swirling around the 2020 election were lots of accusations, false accusations of voter fraud. And a lot of those questions still linger for a lot of people. So how can we assure people that their vote will count and that you do have safeguards in place? I saw them, but talk through some of those
No way I can touch on every
Everything.
single thing that we do, but I can definitely highlight much of what we do. One thing I really want to stress is what we do is in a bipartisan environment. Our election officials, we have bipartisan teams of elections officials. We are very specific to make sure that our people working, we have bipartisan representation. Right. We are overseen by a 5-member bipartisan board. Yep. We have public board meetings. We do, and I've been around for a little while, since 2006 even, we have mandatory sample hand-eye counts after every single election. Since 2006, we've been doing that. A lot of what we do here in North Carolina is not new. These are proven mechanisms we have in place to make sure that we do have secure elections. And we're constantly working with our national, our state, and our local partners to make it even more secure daily. There are new divisions within the federal government that are aiding in additional processes that we can go through to make sure that our elections are always secure. I am very privileged to work in Wake County. We have our own security IT specialists that work within Wake County. They keep us under a nice, secure umbrella, and that's on top of the physical security and actually built-in security we have at our locations. So I know I can't cover everything. There's so many things that Olivia may even have more.
Well, yeah, because, he talked a little bit about the human, safeguards you put into place, right. Where like I was referring to, when they were looking through absentee ballots, there was a Republican and a Democratic, and then there was an observer. Yep. But in addition to those human, safeguards, you mentioned testing earlier. You're testing machines even now?
Yeah, so I mentioned logic and accuracy testing. So what we do is we feed hundreds of thousands of ballots through our machines that have already been through preventative maintenance. But what we're doing is we're testing those outcomes. We're making sure that what goes in the machine is what the outcome is going to be. So those, we go in and we put hundreds and thousands of ballots, and it's in a bipartisan manner. We have teams that come in and help us with that. And in addition to that, we have security seals that we have a chain of custody from A to Z, that we do security seals on the actual equipment machines. And then in addition to that, I do want to point out that our machines are air gapped. So when you vote on election day, you put your ballot into the tabulator. Those results are never connected to a computer, so it's air gapped. It's never connected to an actual computer. So therefore, that's a safeguard for security measures as well.
And that's why when the election was over, they were physically bringing them to you guys there.
Yeah, and Olivia mentioned air gapped. I want to point out even the results whenever we get that from the encrypted data sticks that is done through a bipartisan chain of custody, A to Z. It is when those encrypted data sticks are plugged into a computer. That computer has never seen a network, the internet, anything. So we have to pull it from there. And this is the air gap that Olivia is talking about. And we have to use a fresh new data stick to pull the results off just to upload for the unofficial results on election night. So these are steps that we had in place forever. And these are processes. These are things that have security and making sure that we have good elections has bipartisan been the interest of the legislature, the people, us personally. We want to make sure I'm a voter. Olivia's a voter. You're a voter. Yes. And, so we care about our votes. We care about your votes. And my argument is always when people say something's going on, but then I go back and say, well, how come everybody I vote for doesn't get elected? If that really is the case. And but it's all about democracy. And it should be the will of the people. And that's what we make sure happens is we are there to protect that and to make sure whether we like the outcome or don't like the outcome, our job is to make sure it's right. And that's all that matters for us. So I always like to add in, after thinking more about this is get your information from trusted, reliable sources. Yes. Avoid because it results in misinformation coming around. And social media helps that sometimes. Because remember, there's individuals out there that are bad actors. They're doing what's called disinformation.
Yep.
And that disinformation turns into misinformation. Disinformation is knowingly and willfully communicating false information. And then it really does spread to people that they become misinformed. They're not necessarily bad actors. They become misinformed because they're not getting the right information from the correct resources.
All right, so there is an election. We've established that's coming up May 17th. But what are the important dates leading up to that? What is important for people to know to, getting their stuff in order or getting even registered to begin with?
Well, really simple. May 17th. Know that date.
Know that date.
That is the date of the primary. So that's where, if you choose to vote on election day, that's when you'll go and actually vote. We will start early voting the third Thursday before May 17th. So that's a good way to think about it. May 17th is the day I need to remember, but the third Thursday before, we'll be voting, early voting, and we will be doing it every day, starting that day, including weekends, all the way up to the last Saturday before the election. So that's kind of a big deal. Of course, absentee by mail is still an option, even though we're hearing people want to return back to in-person voting. So if absentee by mail is your preference, then you can go ahead and request that absentee by mail right now.
Our registration deadline is coming up April 22nd. And then, like Gary just mentioned, early voting is right behind that on April 28th. So April 22nd, make sure that if you want to get registered, you're registered by that date. And we have a 30-day residency requirement. So if you're, that's actually the Sunday before that April 22nd date. So make sure that you get registered and if you're eligible. And then right after that, we start early voting and go heading into the election.
Yeah.
Like our website says, ready to vote. So it's time for people to get ready to vote. So.
Well, thank you both. Thank you to your teams. They are incredible. I see how hard they work.
Thank you, Stacey.
And it's because you believe in what you do. So thank you both. And thank everybody for joining us here. Remember, get ready to vote. There's lots of information on the website, readytovote.com.
Only 1 in 5 people recycles in their bathroom, so Wake County is making it easy to get started. If you sign up for our bathroom recycling initiative and agree to take a survey, we'll give you a free 3-gallon recycling bin for your bathroom while supplies last. For more information, visit the website on your screen.
This is the responsible thing to do. In order for us to get back to some normalcy, it is all of our responsibilities to make sure that we can get back to a more vibrant community, a more healthier community, and a more productive community.
That's all for this episode of Wake TV. Keep up with all the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at wakegov.com/news. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube so you can always stay in the loop. We'll see you next time.